A tiny unmanned version of the A-12, this drone was supposed to revolutionize CIA reconnaissance operations, but it ended up in Soviet hands. On May 1, 1960, the Soviets shot down the U-2 spy plane piloted by Francis Gary Powers. This victory for the Soviets and an embarrassing moment for the CIA propelled the development of one of the most bizarre and futuristic projects of the Cold War drone spy planes in the 1960s. In the shadowy world of Cold War espionage, where secrets whispered louder than jet engines, one aircraft stood out, a sleek, black-winged phantom that danced with the stratosphere. Its name? The D-21. But this was no ordinary drone. It was a supersonic sentinel, a silent witness to geopolitical intrigue, and a technological marvel that pushed the boundaries of speed and altitude. This strange-looking aircraft, with its unconventional design, black paint scheme, and mysterious existence haunted adversaries during the 60s. As stealth drones scatter the skies of today, an old ancestor is left forgotten in Arizona, Blackbird Park, collecting dust. Born in an era of geopolitical tension, the D-21, or tagboard, was the silent sentinel of the skies, deployed alongside the legendary SR-71 Blackbird. Its mission? To gather critical intelligence from enemy territory and keep a close eye on foreign nuclear development. Join us as we unravel the enigma of the D-21, a fusion of Blackbird genes and a silent sentinel that defied the skies. From crashes in Siberia to covert flights over China, this is the untold story of a drone that soared higher, faster, and deeper than anyone dared dream for its time. With the legendary A-12 and its later variant, the SR-71, Lockheed's Skunk Works responded to the call for a new method of spying on the vast territory of the Soviet Union, but the fear of pilots being captured in the unlikely event of a shoot-down somewhere over Soviet territory persisted. Some may ask why the D-21 still exists despite the existence of the U-2. The U-2, while highly effective, had limitations. The U-2 flew at high altitudes, but was still susceptible to enemy interceptors and surface-to-air missiles. The U-2's range and endurance were limited, especially for deep penetration missions. By the 1960s, technology had advanced significantly, allowing for the development of faster, higher-flying drones like the D-21. Removing the pilot out of the plane and exchanging it with a drone that flies very fast was the solution of Lockheed in order to avoid captured U.S. pilots that may spill secrets if interrogated. In an era when computers were too large to fit inside buildings, this spy plane concept was astounding for its day. It takes the correct kind of thinking to come up with something this good. The development of such drones spearheaded the production and deployment of more lethal and stealthier UAVs. Although the era of planes have evolved, their mission stayed the same: to provide reconnaissance and gather intelligence to their respective armies. In the 1960s, Lockheed's secret Skunk Works labored over the Mach 3 A-12 reconnaissance aircraft for the CIA. After the U-2 incident, where Gary Powers' spy plane was shot down in 1960, alternative concepts were sought. Enter the D-21, a long-range drone infused with A-12 technology. The CIA and the United States Air Force instructed Lockheed to explore a high-speed, high-altitude drone concept, which will then influence the ripples of future aircraft technology. One such drone is the so-called RQ-170 Sentinel, which is a classified high-altitude stealth drone designed to monitor targets from far away and analyze movement on the ground. It is rumored that the RQ-170 is a cutting-edge aircraft that houses advanced electronics and avionics because of its flying wing design. Unfortunately, an RQ-170 landed in Iran's territory due to a cyber attack. Iran's announcement of the capture of the RQ-170 Sentinel sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, igniting debates and speculation about the circumstances surrounding its downfall. While Iran claimed to have downed the drone through sophisticated electronic warfare tactics, the United States maintained that the UAV had experienced a technical malfunction. The incident triggered diplomatic tensions and underscored the risks inherent in the deployment of advanced military technology in contested regions. Despite this unfortunate crash, the U.S. Air Force hasn't stopped developing cutting-edge drones that can see beyond enemy territory. One such drone is the RQ-180, rumored to be a high-altitude, long-endurance spy drone that filled the gap of the famous D-21 drone. It is influenced by the D-21 through its design and purpose. Just like its ancestor, the RQ-180 utilizes high altitudes in order to surpass enemy radar detection, although its speed is unknown yet. It has been rumored to be seen over Philippine airspace and numerous other airspaces that led to the speculation that it was already operational and is used near the contested West Philippine Sea. All of these drone developments can be linked to the D-21 drone, with its purpose to fly over and observe enemy territory and provide information to its allies. Another similarly influenced plane surprisingly comes from the east, its Chinese counterpart, the Avic Dark Sword. Its first flight is yet to happen, but based on official renders and mock-ups, the drone is suitable for air-to-air dogfights and long-range strike missions, but will also be able to provide recon for the PLAA. Its design borrows features from the F-22, F-35, and the D-21 in some aspects. It is rumored that the D-21 crash that happened in China back in 1971 led to the retrieval of technology by the Chinese and influenced a lot of current stealth aircraft that the Chinese have. Although stealth is a major factor now, only relying on an aircraft's radar cross-section and its radar-absorbing coating, the D-21 relied on the disadvantages of Soviet radars at its time. The Lockheed D-21 was a technological marvel that was developed during the height of the Cold War. It was Lockheed's response to the situation where regular aircraft could not keep up with the demand for observation. The D-21's design, which shared a double delta wing with its A-12 ancestor, was an example of aerodynamic ingenuity. Its high-speed, high-altitude missions were made possible by this design. The D-21's main structural component, titanium, allowed it to be lightweight and strong enough to resist the extreme heat produced by friction at speeds greater than Mach 3.3, or 2,500 miles per hour. The drone's radar cross-section reduction features were precursors to modern stealth technology, allowing it to slip past enemy defenses unnoticed. The D-21's missions were pre-programmed to be a one-way trip that ended with the drone releasing its camera payload for recovery. This was done to prevent enemies from recovering the technology. The D-21 was tasked with some of the most sensitive reconnaissance missions of its time, including overflights of the People's Republic of China to photograph nuclear test sites during the height of geopolitical tensions. The Lockheed D-21 drone was powered by a Marquardt RJ-43 MA-11 ramjet engine. This engine was crucial for the drone's high-speed performance, allowing it to cruise at Mach 3.3 at an altitude of 90,000 feet. The ramjet technology does not have moving parts like a traditional jet engine. Instead, it relies on the drone's high speed to compress incoming air before combustion, making it simpler and more reliable at high speeds. The D-21's engine was a modified version of the Marquardt XRJ-43 MA-20 engine, which was used in the Boeing CIM-10 Beaumark long-range surface-to-air missile. This modification was designated as the XRJ-43 MA-20S4 for the D-21's specific requirements. Oh, have I mentioned that this plane uses a ramjet? But ramjet engines have one major flaw. They require a high starting speed, and aircraft powered by them can't operate from the ground. Hence, the drone would have to be launched from the air to solve this problem. The D-21 was initially designed to be launched from the back of an M21 carrier aircraft, which itself was a variant of the Lockheed A-12 reconnaissance aircraft. The M21 would carry the D-21 drone on its back and release it at high altitude and high speed in order for its reconnaissance mission to start. After repurposing an A-12 as a launch platform, the engineers named it M21, M for mothership and D for daughter, not drone, thereby keeping the Lockheed spy business literally in the family. The only unanswered question is how the CIA would set up this new toy to operate overseas. But it was actually easy. Unfortunately, disaster struck. Following a fatal accident during a launch from an M21, the D-21 program was modified. The drone was adapted to be launched from a Boeing B-52 Stratofortress bomber. Several successful test flights were conducted using the B-52 as the carrier aircraft. Who knew that this drone would be carried by the legendary A-12 aircraft, a part of the SR-71 family of planes that broke the record as the fastest aircraft to be operated? What is also surprising is that it was strapped to the wing of the B-52 Stratofortress, giving a testament to how big and able the B-52 is when it comes to a wide range of missions. Four flights were conducted with D-21s, although only 2 sorties for the missions were a complete success. One flight that happened on the 30th of July 1966 resulted in catastrophe when the D-21 drone detached from its carrier, the M21. The drone stayed in place and struck the horizontal stabilizers of the jet and destroyed the plane mid-air at high speeds. Lockheed test pilot Bill Park and launch control officer Ray Torek remained in the tumbling wreckage until a lower altitude where they ejected safely, but they landed in the open ocean, and Torek drowned when his pressure suit took on water. Some reports attribute this to Torek prematurely opening the faceplate of his visor, but other informed sources have stated that the buoyancy of the David Clark suits would make this almost impossible. Others have speculated that his suit was torn by shrapnel from the wreckage as he ejected. Furthermore, a bailer bar was then added to the flight suit helmets to ensure that the faceplate could not accidentally be opened in similar situations. Despite 2 successful flights, the D-21's hatch could not be recovered to retrieve the pictures. One of the other 2 operational flights was lost in a heavily defended region, and the other D-21 just vanished after takeoff. The primary goal of the D-21 was to photograph China's nuclear weapons testing facility, which is located in the isolated west-central region of the nation, close to Lop Nor, from the air. The plan was for the photos to be thrown into the water and then picked up by the Navy. This information was critical to U.S. defense during the Cold War. Another D-21 crashed in Siberia. The Soviet Union reverse-engineered the wreckage from this incident. After all these accidents, 2 other D-21 drones crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Despite the successful completion of the journey, the camera compartment was lost in both cases. Neither the Navy nor the C-130 were able to locate it in the ocean. Nixon didn't want to continue upsetting China, so he canceled the program soon after the 4th and final mission in 1971, which failed miserably when the drone crashed into China and the Chinese discovered the wreck. By then, NASA had arrived with a brand new concept: spy satellites. Now, without using crazy ramjets, you could just launch a rocket with a camera on board to obtain all the footage you required. The Lockheed D-21 drone, a product of the 1960s Skunk Works, was a trailblazer in high-altitude, high-speed reconnaissance, setting the stage for modern military drones. Its ability to operate at speeds exceeding Mach 3.3 and altitudes above 85,000 feet demonstrated the potential of unmanned aerial vehicles in strategic surveillance roles. The D-21's design incorporated early stealth features, reducing its radar cross-section and informing the development of stealth technology in today's drones. The D-21 drone's autonomous flight capabilities, including pre-programmed missions, were precursors to the advanced autopilot systems now commonplace in UAVs. Its method of payload deployment and self-destruction after mission completion highlighted the importance of asset recovery and security, concepts integral to current drone operations. The D-21's use of a ramjet engine for propulsion without moving parts influenced the design of efficient, high-performance engines in contemporary drones. Although the D-21 program was short-lived, its technological innovations contributed to the evolution of drones into versatile tools for intelligence, reconnaissance, and combat. Today's drones, while more sophisticated and capable, still draw on the pioneering spirit and technological leaps made by the D-21. The legacy of the D-21 is evident in the diverse array of UAVs employed by militaries worldwide, from strategic reconnaissance to tactical support. The D-21's contributions have thus paved the way for an era of unmanned aviation, revolutionizing modern warfare and surveillance. The life of the D-21 drone may have been filled with controversy and malfunctions, but it surely paved the way for the drones of the modern era. From the X-47B of the U.S. Air Force and the Chinese Avic Dark Sword, the remnants of the now-gone D-21 drone still linger, influencing the shape of modern military drones of today. If this was crazy for its time, check out this next video where the U.S. Air Force made a plane that can do everything.